Hello physics students. A few of you have requested some extra help regarding unit conversion, especially when you have a mixed unit like miles per hour going into another unit, meters per second. So I thought I'd put together a video and just walk through this a little bit more clearly. Whenever you're dealing with a mixed unit, I would write it as a fraction. So in this case we have 50 miles over hours. In class you probably saw me write units this way. If you have practiced using ratios in the class like in math, you probably would include a 1 here as a placeholder. That doesn't change the value of the speed at all, but to use a proper ratio we do want to have that 1 value there. So oftentimes when I'm doing unit conversions quickly, I don't include that 1 as a written number, but that may make it easier just as you're learning to visualize these fractions working together. We're starting with 50 miles per hour. We're trying to get to meters per second. And so the first conversion that we're going to deal with is the miles going into meters. Whatever unit you're trying to get rid of, you either need to put on the top or bottom of the fraction. So it's in basically the other position. So miles is starting on top. I need to have 1 mile on the bottom of this fraction because when I divide mile by a mile, the units cancel out. You should recall that 1 mile is equal to 1600 meters. And so when I multiply these together, miles cancel out and I'm left with meters per hour. The end result that we're looking for is meters per second, so we have to do another conversion here to get rid of those hours and convert those into seconds. Because hours starts on the bottom, I'm going to put 1 hour on top of this fraction, and I'm going to divide by the equivalent 3600 seconds. You may not recall 3600 seconds in 1 hour. That's a number that you will get familiar with over this course of this year. You could have done hours into minutes and then minutes into seconds as 2 separate fractions. So then our next step is to look at, we've got these units canceled out. The units that are remaining are meters and seconds. Any number that's on top of a line here, on one of the top of these ratios, gets multiplied, and then we divide by the numbers on the bottom. So if I were to rewrite this, just showing kind of how I'm going to multiply together, I would say this is 50 times, we have 1600 meters, times 1, divided by 1, times 3600 seconds. Note that all of the units canceled out except for those 2 units. And so now if you enter this into your calculator, 50 times 1600 divided by 3600 is going to end up getting you somewhere around 22.2 meters per second. So in terms of using kind of this chain process, I think this is a more efficient way of doing unit conversions. Some people are more comfortable doing 1 unit than the other. What I mean by that is you could say you're starting with 50 miles per 1 hour, and you want to convert that miles into meters. So you do the same first step. 1600 meters is going to be 1 mile. Your miles are going to cancel out, and that's going to get you a total of 80,000 meters per hour. We can now use this kind of intermediate step to set up for our next equation and say we're starting with 80,000 meters for every 1 hour. And we want to convert hours now into seconds as a separate step. So we would say that 1 hour is going to be 3600 seconds. Hours on top and bottom will cancel out, and we're left with meters per second for our final answer of 22.2 meters per second. And so both approaches will get you to the same answer. It's just a matter of preference. Would you rather do one, deal with the unit on top and then deal with the unit on the bottom separately, or kind of use this chain process where you're doing multiples together? I think in the long run, as you get more comfortable with it, the first method is going to be more efficient, but at this stage, if you want to practice it independently, that's totally valid as well.